So, Paul, I was wondering if you could say a little bit about what you think readers can expect from your book.
That's a good question. I
Thank
thought,
you.
because you wonder that do you write the book for yourself? You're writing it for someone else. I was always drawn to books that kind of opened my awareness to other ways of thinking about things that I thought I knew about, particularly in areas of spirituality. Books like The Last Temptation of Christ by Nikos Kazantzakis, the novels of Hermann Hesse. I was always fascinated. The short stories of Jorge Luis Borges, I was very, very drawn to. Similarly, and while I'm not comparing myself to those writers, the themes, I do feel there are similarities in that. That's what I was trying to bring to the reader. A new way of looking. The book isn't trying to say this is what happened. It's not a nonfiction book, but it does bring up concepts about what the true message was 2,000 years ago that continues today, that really illuminates so many people's lives and has created so much beauty and so much strife at the same time. So to me, I think the readers will get another perception of that time period, and one reason I think we wanted to go between the present and the past is because we wanted to bring out the concept that what was happening 2,000 years ago is still happening within. It's still being revealed today. It's really my hope that it opens people's minds to some of the deeper mysteries that about who we are, where we come from, what the deeper meanings of why we're here. And it might sound a little pretentious, but certainly that's what I was thinking about as we took those concepts and put them into what I hope is basically a fun, exciting, page-turning story. And that's always been something I love to do, is just have a twisty, turny, complex plot.
So, Paul, I was wondering if you could say a little bit about what your expectations are for the book.
Well, having had a number of novels published in the past, and Robert Vaughn with even a much more longer history of being published, our experience has been that publishers are not the greatest people at getting the word out about your own book. So we've been trying to take some efforts on our own. I've just begun to try to develop a website, but beyond that, we hired our own publicist, and Robert is actually this week starting a book tour through the Midwest that begins down in Alabama, where he is right now. It goes up through Mobile, up through Nashville, Memphis, and ends in Chicago. And my plan is to meet him in Chicago in a couple of weeks, and we'll do a series of signings. There'll be some radio shows we're going to be doing, Robert in particular, and maybe some local TV appearances. So we're hoping to get the word out that way. It's a hardcover book, just came out with Tor. They have sold the rights to, I think, 3 other countries so far, in some far removed locations like Macedonia and Brazil and Greece. I think there's one other too, but in any event, we don't yet have word on whether there'll be a paperback release, which is often where the book gets much wider distribution. We're working on a sequel. We do have a 2-book contract. The sequel is called People of the Book, where the present day story continues. At the end of the first book, the present day story has come to a nice conclusion, and yet you can see there's all kinds of areas that open up for further involvement. And yet in the past, we're going to use the same concept of going back and forth, a bit in the present, a bit in the past, back and forth. But we've moved from the first century Christian period to the Crusades. And we would love to do further books on the same concept, but we're kind of leaving our minds and prospects open in that area. It's a bit of a challenge writing 2 people. We're just getting used to it, the process, something I've never done before. We originally conceived of the book as a project where maybe one of us would write the present scenes, and probably Robert and I would write the ones set in the past, but would kind of develop in its own unique way. That's almost a mystery to the 2 of us, so we're still learning how to write a book together. But in any event, it's been great working together on the book. We've known each other for many years and have worked on other projects together as editor and author. So this is kind of a new step in a similar direction. So as I say, my own expectations, I'd love to see the book get out there and get people, to find it. And we'd sure like to continue the story. And for my own personal writing, I've written a number of historical novels. It's exciting for me to write something set in the present. I believe this is pretty much the first book I've done that's set half in the present. So that's a new leap for me. I've always found it a little better to hide in some past, in China in the 1800s or in San Francisco in the 1800s, or in Jerusalem and Rome in the one in the 60s, I guess. Not the 1960s, but 60 AD. So in any event, I'm excited by the new opportunity to explore other areas of writing and to be a little bit more overtly mystical in my writing. I've always had an underlying edge of mysticism in my historical novels, but I kind of kept that little bit of a light under a bushel for various reasons. And this book is much more, I think, in tune with what I think about and what interests me. So I'm hoping that by doing that, it'll be of more interest to the readers.
Great. Well, thank you very much for speaking with us
And
today, Paul.
thanks for this opportunity.
And good luck to you.
Thanks.